Hello everyone, good evening from Japan, and this is our eighth seminar of Pakistan Catalysis Society. And today's presenter is Mr. Ravi Singh, who is doing a PhD from Institute for Catalysis, Hokkaido University, Japan, and he also have an experience of working from National Institute of Material Science in Japan. And today we also have some female participant considering the gender equality in the world. So we have also decided to include provide an equally chances to the females and males. So, uh, on the behalf of all the team, I welcome you all. And today's presenter is Mr. Ravi. So now, Mr. Ravi Singh, you can start your presentation and welcome to our seminar.
Thank you, Asif. So let me start my presentation today. I hope my presentation slide is clear enough.
Yes,
Is it visible?
yes.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Today, I would like to give my presentation on the carbon catalyst, which has been used for the electrochemical reduction. Uh, and this is a quite good paper in which they discuss about the carbon catalyst for the CO2 reduction without using any metals. So coming to the introduction slide, so let me tell you that it's very well known that the fossil fuels, which has been enormously used as one of the major source of energy, but we know that it's not sustainable for the longer period of time, and we need some substitute energy. In that case, there are various potential candidates which can be used in the near future, such as renewable source in terms of solar energy, wind energy, and hydropower energy in terms of sustainable energy. And even in the further case where we want to focus on the carbon neutrality, then in that case we can use the electrolytic cells for the CO2 reduction, in which there are various kind of cells like half cell, H cells, and flow cells, where the H cells are have a single compartment in which both the cathode and anodes are located on the same slot, whereas in the H cell, both cathode and the anodes are separated. And in terms of the flow cell, like it's completely ongoing in the market, which is very dominant for the large scale industry. And these cells are quite efficient in terms of getting a good final products like CO, methanol, ethanols, like high-end alcohols, which can be used for the various source of energy. And in terms of the electrochemical CO2 reduction, this the electricity for the CO2 reduction can be used by the renewable source, so that it can be very much sustainable in the near future. And it's kind of very prominent type of research for the near future. Whereas there are various research in which they have used the carbon-based catalyst. And coming to the carbon-based catalysts, where fullerenes and the commercial carbon nanotubes are well known in terms of the catalysts. And there are various research which has been reported using this kind of catalyst, finding its active site by doping several heteroatoms, and they have been able to get a good ferritic efficiency, where we see the potential in the near future using this kind of materials to break through this the problem of the non-metal catalyst using this carbon material. And basically, this paper has a objective to introduce a novel method to by making a carbon membrane with the nitrogen dot on this carbon. And they used a binder-free electrode with the nanoporous membrane, and they found a efficient electrochemical CO2 reduction, in which they had promising result to get the format, and they demonstrate a membrane has a very good performance in terms of the gas diffusion during this electrochemical CO2 reduction, and they were able to get a good Faradic efficiency of 81% of format using this nitrogen doped carbon membrane. And this product has been a very good in even in terms of the stability, where they also did the chronoamprimetry test in which they last for 36 hours, which was quite good in terms of stability, and it has a very value in terms of the CO2 to get a high end products in the near future using this kind of carbon based catalyst. For this research, they fabricated this material by using this carbon nanotube, which was dispersed with polycynyl methyl trifluorosulfate and the poly PPA and DMF solution, and they made a paste and they in the glass plate they diffuse all this uh, solvent, and they dried this sample under the ammonia solution for the 2 hours, and once it was completely dispersed, then they dried this sample for 2 hours, and after drying this sample they used it uh, under the 900 degrees Celsius to carbonize this sample, and after the carbonizing this sample they had a good electrochemical cross link between this catalyst with along with the CNT, and they performed the characterization using the SEM, in which you can observe the several images which they have observed. As you can see in this figure, this shows that when they formed this carbon catalyst along with this other components, they were able to form a three different layer, which was very much efficient in terms of the mass transport, due to which all these three layers has a different pore structure. As the pore structure was being controlled, due to which the mass transport was controlled, and they had a good electrocatalytic performance for the CO2 hour. And this three phase has a very crucial factor in interaction between the reactants and the catalyst, and the control in these pore structures were from 2 to 1.2 size, which indicates that the pore size has crucial factors in controlling the movement of the solvents between this catalyst. And they also did the elemental mapping, showing that as you can see in this left hand side figure, where they show the distribution of the carbon atom within the catalyst was very much significant by this characterization after synthesizing this nitrogen doped carbon along with the carbon nanotube. And also they did the nitrogen element mapping, in which we can see a significant distribution of the nitrogen atom in this catalyst. And for the further analysis, they also measured the XPS to get a clear idea about the composition of this catalyst under the surface, where they found that during the characterization that the nitrogen content within just the nitrogen doped carbon catalyst and nitrogen doped carbon membrane along with the carbon nanotube, they found the difference of the doping of the nitrogen content along with this two different catalysts. In these two different catalysts, where we can see the significant difference in the component of pyridinic nitrogen, where in just the carbon membrane, the pyridinic nitrogen content was quite low with the 9.2 atom percent, whereas in the in the nitrogen of carbon membrane along with the carbon nanotube had a good number of pyridinic nitrogen of 41.8%, as well as if we see the graphitic nitrogen with the 84.9% in the carbon membrane, whereas it decreased um, in the carbon membrane along with the carbon nanotube with the 58.2 percentage, which shows that the uniform distribution of this carbon nitrogen can have been beneficial for the finding the active site. And we believe that the content of the pregnant nitrogen increase had the good factors for the uh, improvement of the active site in this catalyst, due to which it had a good performance in terms of the CO2 reduction. Where we want to discuss the result behind this carbon membrane uh, when during the formation of the format, as they did this measurement uh, first under the CO2 flow, as you can see on the left hand side, at the different onset potential, we can see the difference in the onset potential from 0 to 1 minus 1 potential, with the difference in the current density. When they flow the CO2, the current density was quite good when in the carbon membrane along with the carbon nanotube, whereas in the argon membrane, as there is no any other reaction, so the onset potential did not change significantly. Whereas in terms of the carbon membrane, only under the CO2 flow also had a very low onset potential, due to which it shows that it has a potential along with the carbon nanotube. And at the onset potential, they also checked the Faradic efficiency, where they found that the uh, carbon nanotube along with the this membrane had format formation of 81% at minus zero point 0.8 volt, which was the highest comparing to the minus zero point 0.6 volt, minus zero point 0.7, minus zero point 0.9, and 1 volt. Whereas even in terms of the carbon membrane, it also had a good formation of the format, uh, but it was quite lower with 43 percentage, whereas in the composition of this carbon membrane along with the carbon nanotube had a good formation of this format of 81%. So from this we can say that the selectivity of format is quite higher when we use the composition of this uh, membrane along with the carbon nanotube. They also did they plot the Toffel slope. From this Toffel slope, we can see that the reaction kinetics was quite lower of the carbon membrane, and where the the reaction kinetics of this carbon membrane along with the carbon nanotube was quite higher of 138. So even from this result, we can say that the reaction kinetics is quite faster compared to the just the nitrogen top carbon membrane. And whereas I also talked about this the stability test, where they had a very good stability of 36 hours as compared to this carbon membrane, where they measured from 0 to 40 hours. And in this case, where we can see that this catalyst was quite stable when they measured for 40 hours, they were able to be quite stable. So it's not just the in terms of the stability, the both catalyst was quite stable. um, and after the stability test, they also measured the XPS, in which they wanted to see is there any significant factor that has been affecting its surface morphology, where the component of this the content of the carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen was quite uh, dominantly present. And when we see it in the narrow spectra, where we can see the content of the pyridinic, graphitic, and oxidized nitrogen was present, where where we see the catalyst was slightly oxidized compared to the previous catalyst, which were in which the the pyridinic and the graphitic nitrogen was only present in the previous scale. But once after the stability of the 36 hours, we can see the presence of this oxidized nitrogen. So we can say that the catalyst was slightly oxidized uh, after being tested for the longer hours. But the content of this active site, which I was talking previously, was even present even after the stability test. And comparing this result with the other catalysts which are reported previously, where we can see that this catalyst is not so high as compared to the other catalysts, but it's quite good enough, where the Faraday efficiency of 81% of format was formed. And but in terms of other catalysts, they are metal doped and it's a non-metal doped catalyst. So in this case, we can see that the carbon catalyst can be also a very promising catalyst in the near future if we try to use it in a good way, like if modifying its morphology and trying to find it the good active side of this catalyst, then it can be a very good in the near future. And they also proposed a mechanistic side behind forming this format reaction based on the experimental side, where they said that they in the first stage the CO2 molecules are being absorbed on the carbon atoms with the pyridinic nitrogen, and after being absorbed with the this pyridinic nitrogen, they are being reduced with the carboxyl radicals in the intermediates. And once these carboxyl radicals are being uh, promoted to form the protons, it forms the bicarbonate, and rapidly when the electrons transfer within the reaction occurs, they start releasing the format as the final product. So this was the proposed mechanistic side from their result as they proposed. And coming to the conclusion of this paper, where they were able to develop a good novel catalyst which is quite cost effective as compared to the other metal based catalyst. And if we control this pore size and with the in the membrane style, then it can be a very good factor in the near future. And they had a good Faraday efficiency of 81% of the format using this catalyst, and they also had a good stability. So we can say that this kind of membrane catalyst is quite good in terms of the stability. And it's just a promising factor, like using this kind of membrane catalyst can be a very good factors in terms of the electrochemical CO2 reduction, not just the electrochemical reduction, even other in terms of other in terms of other research, if they want to focus on the catalyst based on the carbon materials. So yeah, so this can be implicated just by modifying like different kind of catalysts along with the this kind of membrane to get a high end alcohol products. And it can be very much useful if you have if you can modulate the morphology of this carbon based catalyst along with the membrane. So also if you want to use the metal, then it can be a good substrate to just to load some metals to get some high-end products, because they were just able to get the format. Then if you plan to get some high-end products, then you can just load some kind of metals, and it can be very much good in terms of the high-end products. Yeah. So yeah, that's all for my presentation. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi, for a nice presentation and presenting on such a nice topic of CO2 reduction on carbon-based catalyst. So now this is a session for question and answer. So I think first questions come from Mr. Lukman. So please, Mr. Lukman, ask your questions and let's have a discussion.
Thank you, Ravi, for such a wonderful presentation. So I was just wondering, if we talk about the metal catalyst, so there is d orbital electron transfer from the catalyst to the reactant, and which basically helps in catalyzing the reaction. So I am wondering, what's going on if we are talking about the nitrogen doped carbon catalyst. So there is no any sort of metal. So there is no any d orbital electron. So uh, can you please uh, give any information regarding this?
Yes, yeah, thank you so much for your question. So basically, in terms of this non-metal catalyst, so far what I understood was they just they basically focus on the doping of these heteroatoms, and basically they find the active site of this pregnant nitrogen, which they think that it's a good factor in which they can uh, absorb the CO2 for the further high to get the further high in product. Yeah, that's what I understood.
Okay,
Is it?
so I have another question.
Yeah.
When we talk about like electrochemical CO2 reduction, so there is another very important parameter like current density or partial current density for a certain product. So, what do you think? If we use only nitrogen doped carbon catalyst, so can we obtain the partial current densities? Maybe higher than 500 milliampere per centimeter square or higher than 1000 milliampere per centimeter square.
You mean using this carbon-based catalyst?
Yes, because for the metals you can obtain. There are many publications where they obtain maybe n-propanol with partial current densities approaching maybe 500 milliamperes per centimeter square. So, for nitrogen doped carbon, can you think we can obtain such higher partial current density?
Yes. Yeah. So in the current scenario, I think it's quite hard compared to the metal-based catalyst. But if we just use this just the carbon-based catalyst, I think we it's a bit harder compared to get a mm, compared to the metal-based catalyst. So maybe if we in the future, if we can modulate like the morphology by modifying some amount of metal along with this carbon-based catalyst, like using this carbon-based catalyst as a good substrate, and then loading some low amount of metal, then it can be possible. But just along with this carbon-based catalyst, I think it's a bit harder in the current scenario.
Uh,
Maybe it's possible in the near future.
yes, you are right. Thank you. And can you please go to the mechanistic slide?
Yeah.
So here I didn't understand one thing. After reduction, there is addition of hydrogen. So I don't know how it's going on because in the first step there is chemical absorption. Oxygen is being absorbed on the ring, and after that there is addition of hydrogen. I think so. I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on here.
yeah, yeah. Even for me, it's a bit confusing. But they just wanted to propose one mechanism based on their experiment to prove that they were able to get this format reaction. Yeah, even for me, this mechanistic side is a bit not so clear. Uh, so mm, maybe they just wanted to show, yeah, we have one mechanism. to prove. But I don't think, based on this result, this mechanistic would be appropriate one to just.
I see.
Mm,
And
Mm.
like what we see from the mechanism, the
Mm.
absorption of like CO2 is on the surface of carbon. And
Mm.
how pyridinic nitrogen is like playing a role, maybe by donating electron lone pair or something like this. How it is like playing a very important role, like in changing these sort of parameters.
So basically, in this case, where we think that when we have the doping of this pyridinic nitrogen, the carbon along with the uh, pyridinic nitrogen has a good active site of the absorption. Not just the pyridic nitrogen, the carbon which is connected along with this pyridinic
Mhm.
nitrogen has the good absorption um, component. Yeah, which.
Ah, okay, okay,
basically,
okay.
I
Thank
have
you.
one comment. Thank you so much for a nice discussion. I have one comment about that. Like, basically, this is derived from the ORR mechanism, Ravi.
Yes. Mm.
So basically, like this is a nitrogen, and this nitrogen basically withdraw the electron from the carbon, and then this carbon has a deficiency of electron, and then this oxygen can donate electron to it, and it can be absorbed here. So basically, like in a transition metal, we have a 3D orbital splitting, and then like bonding and low energy and high energy molecules have their own functions. But here, this adsorption is purely based on the electronic structure and electronic density. So this basically they our lab previously published this paper in Science and about the active site for the ORR. So this basically derived from there, like because of the electronic shift, there is some change in the electronic structure, and then CO2 can be absorbed because of the electronic deficiency here, and then oxygen can donate electron there, and then it can simply goes to that way. So maybe they just derive from here because they do not have any experimental evidence about the mechanism, right?
Yes, they don't have. They
Yes.
just. Mm.
So basically, they just follow the trend and they just propose the mechanism.
All right, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for a wonderful discussion. So if anyone else has any questions, please raise your hand or you can directly unmute yourself and speak. Yes, Professor Bilal, please.
Yes, thank you for a wonderful presentation. And uh, yes, for me, it's very inspiring to know about the carbon as membrane, as functioning as electrode. I'm curious to know either they checked the formate production, or because I didn't see if I missed.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Yeah, they check the Faraday efficiency of this catalyst. Yeah, and in this result, they just show this one with the 81% of this formation of the format.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, they check formate formation by NMR or something else.
Yeah, they checked it with the NMR.
With the NMR.
Okay, thank you.
So how about the CO2 conversion? Did they reported that?
No, they didn't report it about the CO2
Just
conversion.
about the current density and unset potential and
Yeah.
product efficiency. So basically, I have a small question.
Yes.
So basically, they have a different precursors rather than the graphene, right?
Hmm.
So even if we use maybe graphene, so and then we have a nitrogen doping, and it may show the similar results, right? Like as per their proposed structure in the mechanism slide.
Yeah.
So
So
we can prepare similar type of molecule by if we can use by produce this molecule by other mean, it should work, right?
yes, it should work if we follow just the mechanistic side, but
Mm.
I think we should also focus on the morphological side, like the pore size structure.
Yes, pore size for mass
Yes,
transport
I
is also
think this
important.
is the one crucial factor comparing to the graphene catalyst, because I think the stacking of this different pore size in this catalyst was one of the promoting factors, like affecting the mass transport, due to which it had a good Faraday efficiency. I
So,
think if we just have a like graphene layer, it won't
mm,
be like that. Like so far, what I believe.
mm, mm, mm. So basically, initially they have a 2 to 1.2 mm pore size, right?
Yes,
And then they decrease it up to 700 nanometer.
yes,
So how did they decrease? By some treatment?
yeah. This is the strategy which they didn't explain it
Ah,
like in a detailed way. Yeah, because it's very hard to just control the pore size, like in a
yes.
very yeah, in a very like systematic order. Uh, but they just explain like they had a three different layer with a different pore size.
Basically, actually, basic point here is the controlling the pore size.
Yes, yes,
So maybe they will publish somewhere else. So that's why they didn't mention here.
maybe. Yeah, I hope so.
Because they are approximately they decrease about 40% pore size.
Yes.
So it's significant.
Hmm.
Yes. So can you show about the product selectivity slide of Radix efficiency of different products? So no, previously a product selected this one. So they only produce formate, and what's the other?
They just
So they
reported the.
just only the format.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, okay, because then like there is no other product.
Hmm.
I mean there is a product, but they didn't
There is a
mention.
product, but yeah, they just it's very hard to just get like format only, right?
Yes, because like methanation, CO, and this
Hmm.
kind of, and HER is also a competitive
Yeah,
reactions.
HER. When we do the electrochemical, it's a very big factor affecting the whole thing. So there
And
must be
there
some other part. Hmm.
and onset potential is 0.2.
Yeah, 0.
Hmm. Previously, someone reported in Nature there was around 0.4, maybe 0.45 or something like this. Nice. But of course, it's like maybe this is communication of their results, right? It's full
Yes,
length paper.
it's a communication.
This communication. So maybe
Hmm.
they will publish. Yes. So I think Professor Bilal, I think you have another question.
No, it's okay.
Okay. And anyone else has any question? Please, you can raise your hand or directly unmute yourself and you can speak. When did they publish, Ravi?
It's on 2017.
17. Nice.
Hmm.
Mm. Can we go to the comparison slide? Comparison slide. Wow, they compare with the mono tin oxide on graphene, and they also have a nitrogen doped graphene.
Yes.
So nitrogen doped graphene basically has less activity.
Yeah, so that's what um, I feel like. It's not just about the nitrogen
Mm.
graphene, it's about controlling the whole morphology.
Even the PD and PT has also less.
Mm.
Yes, yes. So it doesn't depend on the basically on the composition, but it also depend on the structure and morphology.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
This is most important.
Yes. So if we can, yeah, replicate this kind of membrane, maybe it's very good in the in terms of like substrate or even just as a catalyst.
So one most important point is 700 nanometer pore size,
Mm.
and any other thing like on the surface, they have a pyridinic nitrogen, right?
Yes,
Pyridinic nitrogen. And how about the percentage of pyridinic nitrogen
it was around
in XPS?
41.8%.
In total nitrogen.
Yes.
Hmm.
So even like you can see this result of XPS in the narrow spectra. If we just have the carbon membrane, then the nitrogen content of the pyridine is just 9.2. But if we combine it with the carbon nanotube, then the nitrogen content is increased. So
So
the composition
basically,
is also
yes. So CNT also has a like supporting function.
yes,
Hmm. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, they also like metal and active metal and sport. They also have a carbon sport and carbon catalyst.
yes,
Interesting. Basically, like they have a comparable efficiency of formation as with the transition metal using a
yeah.
carbon-based catalyst. Mm, that's nice. So, anyone else has any question? No, I think today basically we have three more new participant. One is Jawad Ahmed, previously who attended a session with us, but because of the internet issues, so he couldn't respond. And we also have one others, two females, one from Indonesia. She's doing a master on KNB scholarship in physics, and another is doing a master in chemistry from Islamic University, Bahawalpur. And we also have a good news because of our this sessions. So some students are following us on YouTube and Facebook and others platform, and they learn from our content and our scholarship help. And today, one student got acceptance from two professors. So this is an achievement for all the participants and our members. So people are getting the success from our this platform. So just I got information from he shared me by text. He got acceptance from two professors
In Japan.
in China.
Okay.
But this is the
That's
first
great
good news.
achievement.
Yes. So congratulations to all for your hard work and supporting me.
Yeah, let's congratulate everyone.
Yes. Thank you so much. So thank you. So maybe if you have any other questions, uh, so Mr. Nasir Ali Khan, maybe he has some problem, so he just joined. So if you have a question, so please. This is very interesting. I
Hello everyone.
basically related to your topic.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Welcome to newcomers. And Dr. Asif just share a good news. Congratulations to the whole team. And especially credit goes to Muhammad Asif. And I just joined meeting. So I don't have any question because I need to study this. And after that, I will if I have any question, I will discuss.
Thank you so much. So basically, we will circulate this paper in a group, and everyone can read it. And if have any questions, so in next meeting, they can also ask.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is good. This is good idea. If
Yes.
someone have any kind of questions, so we can manage we can arrange a answer questions session, and that session we can discuss the previous paper. After that, when another person coming and he or she is presenting a new paper, so we will discuss in next week, such like that.
Basically, next session is very important because Professor Dr. Muhammad Bilal will give a talk on adsorption and photocatalysis. So you must have to spare a time and join. It will be very wonderful and a very useful talk. So maybe I think today, if we do not have any questions, so maybe we can stop here, and then let's see you all on next week.
Okay, thank
Thank
you
you so much,
everyone.
Ravi, for a wonderful presentation, and all the participants for our discussions and participating and joining us. And
Sorry, we cannot hear.